pile. Okay? Really, even if it's 1.5, this is 1.5 by 1.5, but it should be 2 meters here. But we're just having a visual picture of this, okay? So what are the 3 ingredients? Or let's say, what are the 5 ingredients? Green. Don't say leaves. Let's talk about them generally. Green is one. Yeah.
Green material.
Green material, yeah.
Manure
is our nitrogen, yes.
woody material.
Water, yeah. Air. And woody dry. Okay. So we do 20 centimeters woody dry, okay? 20 centimeters green, and then roughly 2 bags of manure, okay? We are going to, I don't know where, I know the tap is there. We had our watering, did we have a watering can or anything to use? People are missing. Can you find it? Yeah. Okay, so I'll ask for 2 volunteers to come inside. Or I can choose volunteers. Well, you can hop the fence, or 1. Can we get a second one?
Yes.
Okay, 2, okay. So what was our first items? Woody, dry. So this is actually kind of both, okay? These are woody and these are dry. They're kind of mixed together. So we'll call this pile generally woody dry. We brought this, I know normally you wouldn't want to reach straight in, there might be a snake, but I think we just brought it now and we've been handling it already. So let's trust there's no snake, okay? So we'll get some. Okay, and we're going to just fill this. We always work away from ourselves. Okay? Maybe we can get one more volunteer. Anything over the size of our pinky will not be included. Above our small finger. Okay, are we accessing our water? So I know from planting beans, because I plant beans like this, that's 10 centimeters, I know that should be roughly 20. Okay? So that's my 20 centimeter stick. So we'll just go a little bit higher. Okay, again, keep large pieces of wood out. They're not going to break down.
Can you chop the large pieces
Yes.
of wood?
Well, no, see, the problem here is not the length, the problem is the diameter.
And what if I cannot cut it?
Yeah, if you can make it smaller diameter, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. This would be about the maximum that I would use, somewhere around that. Yeah. Okay, I think that will be, we're getting beyond 20 centimeters now. So let's just, we can just send it out right to the edge. Okay, this is quite dry, so I think we'll just put water on right away, okay? Just put water now. So if you had a watering can, whatever, yeah, and we'll just sprinkle. So we're saying maybe your maximum thickness of a piece of woody, a branch or something might be something like one of these. Not bigger. Okay, you see it's about the size of my small finger. Not much more. Otherwise, it won't break down and it can't be part of your compost. Okay? Yeah. Or we can just so your heaviest item in compost making is probably your water. So you want to be near your water source, right? Sorry? What is that? well, we say 200 liters for the pile. Somewhere around there. It will depend how dry your things are. Like this is very dry, it will absorb quite a bit of moisture. You can already see with the little water we're pouring on that it's already sinking a bit, right? Okay, we'll stop there because even the subsequent layers will still leak through. Okay? What's next? Okay, so we have some volunteers outside. You can bring some in. So these three gentlemen, thank you for helping. Let's let 3 more people come and help us.
Thank you.
Okay, 20 centimeters thick. Deep, sorry. Okay, it doesn't really matter what these are. They shouldn't be eucalyptus, blue gum trees. They are kind of have some acid in them. Okay, I think we can finish off that little pile. Is there any more? Let's just finish those leaves. Yeah, again, we can sprinkle water. Yeah.
Can the green also be grass?
Sorry?
Can that be grass?
It can be anything green. It can be green grass from your compound. It can be green grass from the field. It can be green hay. Yeah, because hay is actually cut when it's green to keep the sugars in it. Yeah, it can be hay. That's how I made my compost in Canada, because I can find lots of hay. Yeah. And then I used hay and chicken manure because my chicken manure had so much woody in it, and that was kind of my mix. Yeah.
So this will encourage us to keep chicken.
Sorry?
This can encourage
Yeah.
us to keep
Yeah. A farm should be like a cycle.
a cycle.
The crops feed your animals, the animals feed your crops.
That one is called intensive farming.
Okay. All right. Now we want about 2 wheelbarrows with your. Since it's a smaller diameter pile, we can use like 1.5. Let's fill. Okay, a couple other volunteers. Want to hold the shovel? What happened to our space? What I would do, I would actually, since this manure is quite dry, okay, stop. I would actually wet it now. It's a little easier than wetting it on the pile. Okay, so I think there's holes in the bottom, isn't there? But you can kind of, I don't know, are you comfortable to do this job? He's happy. Can you bring a second suit? Yeah.
Amekuja kusoma na suti.
Are you a builder?
Kusoma ni kusoma.
Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect like you're building a building, but that's good. So then we'll spread that and we'll do one more wheelbarrow like that. We'll just spread that a nice layer across that. So now watch what happens to the pile. I think you'll know what will happen now. So we're not trying to keep those layers. We don't try to keep every layer at 20. It's only at the time of making that layer. After it will compress itself. So what I wouldn't do, I wouldn't spread it evenly like that. I know I have 2 wheelbarrows, so the first wheelbarrow will go here. Second wheelbarrow there. Okay? Not a big problem, but to me, I would do it that way just so you're kind of a little more organized. If you don't have wheelbarrows, a sack is about, and you can get the sack and you can just empty it. And as you go on, you'll get the wheelbarrow with 2 people and you throw it up. Okay, you may not spend the whole day shoveling every time. Okay, so you get creative, this is work, we want it to move, right? Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's do another wheelbarrow like that. You want to? Okay, thank you. Let's get 2 different guys. Thank you. You've done a good job. Now we have another one. Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this the right type of manure to use? Or is it
It looks pretty good. It does look like it's broken down a bit. So it's probably, sorry? No, it's not good. We don't want broken down manure. We want fresh as much as possible. I can still see that the goat, you know, the marbles are there, so it's not too broken down. But if it looks like soil,
yeah.
I wouldn't use it. Anytime you get manure that looks like now it's good soil, it's too decomposed.
So for cow manure it should be...
Still quite fresh, even green if it could be, yeah. Goat is usually quite good because goats are usually kept and they urinate also on the manure.
Yeah.
So the pellets have not only the manure but they have the urine soaked into it, which is also high in nitrogen. Anytime that an animal is urinating and poo-pooing together, is better because the urine has nitrogen in it. Yeah. So like rabbits, they urinate on the manure which is below them. So you would like the manure and the urine to be kind of together. Chickens, that's actually how they poo-poo. The poop comes with the vent has both coming into it, right? Which is, I think, one of the reasons why it's high in nitrogen. Good. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want a good, you know, we know that it's wet. Maybe a little more, yeah. So you get an idea how this will take, right? It builds up and then it kind of sinks down, builds, sinks. I'm surprised I haven't gotten a certain question. Can I mix ash in my compost?
We don't know. You can tell us.
Okay. Some people do mix ash, some don't. What I would do is I wouldn't put it at the beginning because you don't know the exact ratio. Okay? So what I would do is when at the time of making compost, you can see how much compost, how many cups go into 1 bucket. For every cup of compost, how much ash?
Tablespoon.
A heaped tablespoon. So you can say, okay, 15, I'm just guessing, but 15 half-liter cups go in here, so 15 heaped tablespoons. So I measure those 2 things, I put them together, I can quickly mix. Then I have one operation when I go to my planting station, right? Not 1 spoon of ash in 1 cup, but one cup will be both. That's not a must, it's just kind of a way of eliminating one step. Okay.
Suppose you have charcoal dust available, would you add?
No, charcoal dust is not quite the same thing. Charcoal dust is not bad. It's not bad to put in here, but it will not do the same thing as ash. The charcoal dust will be basically give you little rooms. If you think of charcoal as having like little rooms, little places for all the bacteria and everything to adhere to. Yeah, or to grow in or on or around. But we are not included. Okay, so that's the question. That's we've completed one of each layer, right? Okay, the question, yeah.
Yeah, just interested to know, but can you make compost manure using
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to correct you again.
Compost.
It's not called compost manure. You call chapati wheat flour?
Thank you.
Here is chapati wheat flour. You say chapati, knowing very well that inside the chapati is wheat flour. So let's get our language right. It's not called decompost, it's called compost. It's not called compost manure, it is called compost. Inside of which is
Manure.
so don't call it wheat cake, say this is a cake, inside is wheat. I'm sorry to correct you, but it happens commonly and we don't know the right word. So this is called compost. In compost is manure. Your question.
Yeah, actually you have half answered my question, but let me continue.
I'll get the other half. No.
Yes. Can I make compost only using one material? Like I'm talking now based on where I come from.
Okay.
Like I said, I come from Samburu.
Okay.
I have plenty of manure.
Okay.
Plenty of manure.
Yeah.
But getting the greens and other materials like this one, that's an history.
Yeah.
So am I able to make compost out of only manure?
No. It will just be, you'll just have manure or rotted manure. Because we want fungus. Fungus needs to grow on woody material. It likes woody material, okay? And it wants to grow on this, but it needs to grow in a dark, cool, wet environment, okay? Then we need sugars to get the bacteria growing. So your manure may have some of these inoculum, the starting components, but they have nothing to grow on or in. Okay? So, yeah, either you are just going to use manure or you're going to look very hard for what you can use. Okay? Good question, but that's put manure in the ground and cover it, and you may find it, if it's a truly very dry area, you may find it in several years. But if I'm growing something and there's moisture, I don't see how it would last. In my experience, it doesn't. It gets used up. The plant goes and uses it. So I'm not sure where the idea comes from, but I would disagree with it. And I'm sure my friends will agree with me, and I didn't say them. But okay. No, we don't. Okay, will we close it? No, we don't want to close it because we get oxygen, and you'll find that the pile will kind of, these poles will be enough. They're supposed to be 60 centimeters into the ground. That's about 2 feet, right? So they will hold, and if we build it properly and we kind of push it up against the pole, they'll actually, the compost will hold itself in this square. Okay? It will hold itself. We don't want to cover the sides because that means air. We're going to restrict airflow. And don't try this in a pit because you're going to subtract one of the ingredients, oxygen. So many people have learned pit composting. We're not, it's not pit composting because you need the air. You need oxygen for this compost. Yeah. After 3 days return, yeah. 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 Okay. So the question is, we're told 3 days. He's saying in some environments maybe there's more bacteria, maybe the activity will be more. You're correct. So remember in the video there is one way to tell that we used, a simple way to tell when to turn the pile. That was inserting an 8mm rod. If you could hold that rod for more than 5 seconds, that means it's not yet hot enough. It's not yet reached around 68 or 70. If you hold it and you can't, if you touch it and you can't hold it, that means it's reached that temperature, you can turn it. So basically what you could do to answer your question is go to your pile every day, insert it somewhere in the middle here, because your pile is here, right? In here, not at the top, somewhere in the middle, and see if that rod heats up. After 3 days, if it doesn't heat up, on the 4th day, likely will heat up, then you turn. If you are poor and you have no way of measuring, we just simply give you 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. We just go with that. Okay? So we know there's differences, but we just go with that, knowing that basically the process should mostly happen properly. But if you have a rod, you can check each day with the rod and adjust. And normally it will not be much more than 1 day less or 1 day more. Yeah. I would put the rod to be safe maybe 5 minutes. Yeah. 5 minutes in there should be enough. So normally if we're compost making, I don't know if you guys do this, we always have a rod. It always sits there. It's always in there. So anytime I come to the pile, I know it's been sitting there since I was there the other day. I pull it out, immediately I come to the pile, I pull it out, I hold it. The rod just stays there. So I don't worry about how long it is in because it's already in. But you may or may not keep your rod in the pile. If you don't keep it in, then just put the rod in for like 5 minutes. It'll be enough. Some people also use wooden sticks. They also heat up. Yeah, but I can't quite tell exactly that it will be the same. I would prefer the rod. Yeah. Yes? Are we all hearing the answers to the questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise I can repeat the questions. But if you say your question loud, then I'll just...
Yeah, so my question is, now maybe now you did all the grass up to the top.
Yeah.
And in my case now, after like even 30 minutes,
Yeah, so he's asking, in his place it's very dry, he thinks it will dry out quickly. Remember, we keep building, keep building, keep building, keep building, we're working on it, then when we finish, we cover it with, the drier your place is, the more thatch I would put on top. We don't wet that thatch, you could wet it, but really it will insulate your pile now from the sunshine. And we believe that it will work because we know the power of God's blanket. You're putting God's blanket on the top. And you don't delay. Finish the pile, put it. So you're right, it could dry out very quickly, but because you keep adding layers, the moisture will stay, and then the last thing you do, right away, cover it. And that's also in any environment, you should cover it. Yeah, just to maintain, it keeps in a bit of the heat, and it keeps out extra heat or extra moisture.
Once you cut it at the stage or
Yeah.
how long it takes, will we wet it again?
Okay, the question is, once we turn it, will we wet it? We'll wet it according to the moisture, okay? So if I squeeze it and water pours out, it's too wet. So I'll actually maybe get halfway through the pile and leave it open for half an hour, depending on how hot it is. Then I'll keep turning to dry it out slightly, not much. If I squeeze it and I open my hand and it holds the shape, then that's about the right content. I'll just keep doing it. If I squeeze it, on opening my hand, it falls apart. It needs more water. So depending how dry it was, maybe 1/3 of the way through, I'll add some water, maybe 2/3, some more. But you'll quickly get an idea. All of a sudden you'll see a pocket of dry material, and you just water that pocket. You'll get to know as you go, you'll see dry areas, you just water them. Because some things heat up quickly and they actually dry out that little area where they were. Okay? But you'll go along and you'll get to see that your compost, needs to have that. When you open it, it holds the shape. So that's roughly 50%. So we make those adjustments by leaving the pile open a little bit or adding a little bit as we go. So that is we always keep doing that. We keep an eye on the moisture. The moisture content is important. If you lose moisture, you will stop the rotting process. You'll have all the ingredients, but it won't rot. That's why we can find artifacts in Egypt which are thousands of years old, because things don't rot. It's very, very dry. Okay? Whereas you go to a wet climate, you find things rot very quickly because there is moisture. So you must have the moisture in there. What time are we? 10:42. Okay.
11.
we're aiming for tea at 11. I think, can we say that we're done the composting? Are we satisfied of our, it's a little example, we really, we needed to build it. Then you realize that there's supposed to be 2 other poles here, right? It gets turned here, then turns back and forth, okay? We've just given you a little idea here. The video should give you a even better picture. Okay? Okay, 2 last questions. 1. Oh boy.
We have done the planting and then it's now ready
Yeah.
to put into planting station.
Yes.
Oh, maybe I put into my planting station and they come left. Will it expire?
No, the compost stays stable as long as you keep it out of sunlight and much rain, and you can try to keep it around that moisture content. You can put it actually in a sack and keep it somewhere cool. Yeah, it will be stable. I think the carbon chains are, if I understand, the carbon chains get longer and longer and more stable, so that it just doesn't break down very quickly. We had one more question, or we're good? Okay, last one on compost.
Is it advisable when there is harsh climate, like lots of rain,
Yeah,
and compost in an open place?
yeah.
Is it advisable to put a polyethylene paper?
I wouldn't put a polythene paper right over it. I might build a small covering, which is held by other poles or structure, so that it's not sitting on the pile, but it's protecting it. So you can just build something, a shelter over it, a simple shelter that keeps the rain. But yeah, we had a very rainy season one time in Uganda, and I didn't have such, and I think my compost lost, I lost nitrogen out of it. It was good, but it was not good like it normally, the nitrogen content was a bit low because of leaching. I think we just lost, it's just so much rain, and we just lost, it leached some of the manure out of the pile. Okay, it's going to cost you about 500. No. Okay, last question.
After the compost is ready for use,
Yeah.
you can use it on any type of plant, even
Yeah.
vegetables,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. We have not gone into surface composting. For vegetables, there's a slightly different mix where we increase the green portion because we want a more bacterial compost. Okay, I haven't gone into that today. This is field crop compost, staple food compost. Okay, but we move towards a higher green content, and that mixture is given to you in the vegetable guide. Same process, just more green, and we adjust the woody dry to be less. Okay. Yes. So the nice thing about compost, I should point this out, is that you can put seed and seedlings directly into it. But you need to make sure that you follow the directions. 2 months turning, 4 months cure. It needs to stabilize. And then seed and seedlings can go directly into it, which is why we can do surface composting. We can put seed and seedlings right into the compost, which is a great advantage. We don't now need this buffer. The soil, it is now like good forest soil or good soil. There's not excess nitrogen which could burn our seed or seedling. Okay?
We just had the question here.
Yeah.
As after turning, do you still need to add water when it's resting or when you store it?
No, I wouldn't, except I wouldn't want it like really dry. I would still like some moisture in there. So around 50%, something like that. Yeah. I think I'd defer to Grant on that. I don't know long-term storage if we add moisture. Yeah. Yeah. It stays, it shouldn't have really dried out, and you should store it in a place where it's not going to dry out. Yeah. Okay? And then often in its use, still like in the maize planting station, it will get covered with soil. And that will help protect it in those few weeks before planting. In surface composting with vegetables, the vegetable is supposed to be planted that day, and then mulch brought over so the compost is not given a chance to dry out or deteriorate. Okay? So still the compost remains protected even in our use of it. Okay? All right, I think we're going to use, were these just to roughly mark the field?
This was just rough.
Yeah, so we'll pull them out.
You can pull them.
Yeah. Okay, so in our few minutes before